These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Hear me? Testing
I
one,
can hear
two.
you now. Yep.
All
I
right.
can't see your head like you can see mine, but I can hear you.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Hi,
Thank you
Paula.
so
How are
much.
you?
I'm good. How are you, Charlie?
I'm good. I've just come out of the sea. I've been in the sea with my son Justin this afternoon.
Sounds fun.
Hello, Sandra Rose. How are you?
Hey, aloha.
How are you?
Well, it's early here. Had a great night with Sasha Stone last night. We were filming in a studio last night.
He's a very, very good man. I like Sasha.
So he sends his love. He sends all his love and blessings. And anyway,
Good.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I want to start off by, first of all, congratulating America on what they think is their 250th year of independence, which is actually their first year of independence, because they haven't been independent for 250 years at all. That was a complete lie. They were completely dependent on the City of London. So thank God that the US, or not the US, America is now independent. The US corporation was completely dependent on the City of London and the Vatican. They were all in bed together. And for those people who are skeptical about what I've just said, there's a very simple way to check out how dependent you were on the City of London and the Vatican, and that is check out the bank accounts of the Bushes, the Bidens, the Clintons, the Obamas, when they came into office and when they left office. And obviously you need to add on their salaries, and of course their cost of living was zero, and their bonuses, etc. And you'll find it's 10 times more than they actually earned. That's sort of a clue as to who was paying them to stay quiet about the fact that they weren't independent at all. And of course, it's very easy to keep quiet when you're getting paid millions, if not billions of dollars. And that's what's happened. Now, on the other hand, if you want to be a critic, look at Donald Trump's worth when he came into office. He hasn't taken a salary, and in fact, his net worth has gone down since he was in office. This is a man who's serving the country. When we talk about draining the swamp, we talk about filthy, dirty base that is now being taken out. And nobody in the past has ever had the strength of character or the wherewithal to do this. But so for the first time in history, yes, it's lovely to say, let's celebrate 250 years of independence. But what's more importantly is this is your first year of real independence. And you're now becoming something incredibly special, because you've got a man at the wheel who's determined to make America. That's not just you or the 50 states. That's South America, Canada, Cuba, all of these other countries, making them all great again. Because I'll tell you right now, we've been told for the last 20, 30 years, ignore Russia, ignore China, turn your backs on there, don't go there. Horrible, horrible. For anybody who's been to Russia and China, beautiful countries, very, very safe, doing very, very well, incredibly prosperous. This is why they don't want you to go there. And the reason I'm telling you this, I was born and brought up in the Plymouth Brethren, the exclusive Brethren. And I was told never, 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 never go to any other church ever. Now I know why. Because they might be right and that you might be wrong. And when you look at life that way, when somebody says don't go, don't go, don't go, probably the wrong thing to say to Charlie. Because Charlie, when you're not looking, is there, trying to find out why I shouldn't be there. And we're now talking a lot about today with Dr. Sandra Rose and Paula Woodley about why we shouldn't go to China and Russia, because America has had the monopoly on what you do with health and medical and big pharma. And we don't want to know that Russia and China are years and years and years ahead of us. And they know exactly what we've been up to, and they can't believe that the people have fallen for it. The Chinese can't. I've just come away from a Chinese doctor who has completely changed my diagnosis from myasthenia gravis to basically toxins in my blood and how to get rid of them, not using chemicals, but using herbs. And this is what we're going to have to get used to. America, sadly, I love you to death, but you're in such a rush to go to the pharmacy. Your pharmacies in America are like supermarkets in Europe. They're massive. They've got everything on there. And all these people from depression, who've got depression over there, I need the answer to depression is actually in a bottle. Well, that's not true. There are plenty of other ways to get out of depression rather than tablets, I can assure you. But today I want to focus a little bit on the case with Paula, and where Dr. Sandra Rose has been involved, and Chaz is also included in this. But I'm going to hand over to Dr. Sandra Rose to introduce what she's been involved with Paula. And that was my little rant and celebration rant at the start of this show.
Yeah, well, may the 4th be with us today, I tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah, Paula Woodley is an international nurse, and I met her in Hawaii, and she had come to Hawaii to use our EE system. So I do want to introduce her because her story is just so important in this time. She's won a lawsuit. I mean, she's winning, but this is something that has gone massive. What they did with her mother is what pre-COVID, this was prior to COVID, what they did with her mother, then they rolled out during COVID with the whole intubations and the whole 9 yards, basically the same playbook. And it's there's been a whole plan. I'll have her tell more about that. You know, it's just like I said with Sasha Stone, I'm a commissioner on the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, and I've been doing all the research. So I had her come on for the International Tribunal for Natural Justice when we were doing the crimes against humanity with the COVID program because of the repeat of the intubations and the whole program. And this is what they've been doing with our elderly, and it's elder abuse and it's all that. So, but we're gonna, I do want to talk about that more with, and actually introduce Paula, who is an amazing, amazing being. She's been on before too. So
Yes, Dr. Sandra and I go way back, and my mother from above is watching and thanking you for everything you've done and all the courage and strength that you've given me. I'm so grateful. I want to thank you, Charlie, for everything that you do. And if I may, I'd like to also mention with our last show, it was amazing because you really hit us with some one-liners, and those one-liners were my dad's. It's like I love my father, but you remind me so much of him, and I just wanted to say that you hit us with one-liners that my dad would say, so I think he's channeling you. So on that note, too, I would like to thank the administration and everybody that's finally addressing all the things that are going on in the country as far as Medicare and Medicaid fraud. It's kind of hard to really wrap your head around to think that we have an entrusted medical system that is actually broken. And it's kind of like what you said, Charlie. I don't think that anybody really wants to admit this, but it takes a lot of courage to come forward to say this. And I'm speaking on behalf of my mother and being a nurse of 40 years. But before we start, I just want to say happy birthday to America. My father was a war hero. He was a decorated war hero. My whole family is military. My father actually was the first, as people who know, he crossed the 38th parallel. He was in World War I and II, and he fought for this country. He fought for America. And I do have to also say, because I have all the articles here, I have all the books that I'd like to share that he's been in, I'm actually wearing all of his medals. I don't know if you can see it. I'm wearing his Purple Heart and everything in honor today of what he fought for. And I'd also like to say that it was about 20 years later that my uncle dropped the atomic bomb. and this is no joke, the B-29 bomber. He dropped the atomic bomb. So you can imagine the history that I come from with the military and how I landed some of these jobs at the UN. And it's only because of my father and the history of our family. So with that note, I'd like to say what my father fought for in the country is what I want to also stand for. Because what he would always say is that, listen, kid, you have to work as a team, no matter what you do, because it's united we stand, divided we fall. And he'd always say that United States is a very strong country. However, he'd always say something to the respect of what you're saying, Charlie, what's happening. He'd refer it to as like a coup. He said, listen, kid, this like there's a coup d'etat that has taken over the country, he would say. And it was like, I always thought about what he meant by that. And it's kind of like when you think about it, everything that has infiltrated into the medical profession, into the court system, it's like a takeover. This is not about politics, about the left or the right, because we cannot fight as a nation. If we're going to do this, we need to do this together. We need to be a team. It's not about, divided. Again, it's not divide and conquer, because if we don't work together and tell the truth, that's what this is all about, Charlie. And like my story goes way back as far as with Dr. Sandra, because what happened with my mother, just to get into it briefly, is that she was misdiagnosed. Okay. My mother was misdiagnosed. Now, my mother was Finnish, of course, and she was a tough Finn. She actually believed in the holistic approach towards health, and what happened was I had a place in Hawaii for like 30 some years. Okay. I bought there years ago because it was my tropical paradise. So I said to my mother, we'll go there and we'll get you better, Mom. So she landed with several doctors there, and Dr. Sandra was her physician. And Dr. Sandra started a program with her with all vitamins, like you're saying, Charlie, with nutrition. That's what the foundation of our health is all about. She started with a program that she uses called EES system. Now, a lot of people didn't know what it was, and my mother started it. But long story short, we found out that my mother's diagnosis was completely wrong. She had a completely other diagnosis that actually, when she went into these chambers that Dr. Sandra used, her symptoms started to go and be alleviated. And then she became asymptomatic. And it was like, I thought, oh my God, this is a miracle. So that was a little bit of the story there with my mother. And then, however, she fell into an entrapment with the conventional medicine doctors. Okay. And that's where things have to be really looked at closely, is that it's like there's almost a war within a war between medicine, between conventional medicine and integrative medicine. And I think Dr. Sandra can get a little bit more into that, but a lot of people out there don't know that. And I worked with Deepak Chopra, actually, who was also holistic, basically. And what Deepak wanted to do was combine the two together so that doctors could practice both medicines. And that's kind of like where the confusion lies in the United States, because as far as what we're dealing with today with the Medicare and the Medicaid fraud, okay, we see situations where people are misdiagnosed. In my mother's situation, an incident happened where unnecessary medical procedures were done. Okay, we won Medicare and Medicaid fraud. But those unnecessary medical procedures, they led to her death. Okay. Now, I'm not going to stop at that, but when we exposed another part of what we're talking about here, this is like a master plan. And it's really unbelievable. Like Dr. Sandra had mentioned, we saw the same pattern with COVID, ironically. It was intubate and isolate. Okay. Now, you got to keep in mind that as of today, there's a program, and it's like guardianship, which they call it. A lot of people don't know what it is because they don't want you to know what it is. And it's basically that it's hard to say, but in the United States today, if you're put into guardianship, less freedom than a prisoner. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have less freedom than a prisoner. My mother was taken away from me. Okay. I'm her daughter. I'm a nurse. I'm a federal nurse. Okay. Just a little bit of a history here going back. I actually worked at the United Nations. I was called to the front lines with COVID. After that, I worked under the Department of Defense as the area manager for the military bases in the United States. Okay. Over 5 years. So I know a little bit about medicine. I've been doing it for 40 years. So when I started to question, it was Dr. Sandra knows it was the wrong thing to do. So then what happened is that they put her into this guardianship, and I couldn't touch, I couldn't see, I couldn't talk to my mother. And I'm thinking, how can this happen? Is this really happening in America? It's like, your entire life is like taken over. And if you question it, this is what's worse, is that if you break their rules and nobody understands what these rules are, you will be arrested. And this is not a joke. You will be stripped of your licenses. You could be put into psych wards, which I had friends that were, and people that have been serving prison time. Okay. These are the facts. Okay. And nobody knows about it because there's a gag order with the media. The media will not cover these stories. There's two movies. Yeah, there's two movies out there. And one of the movies is The Guardians by Billy Mintz, and another one called I Care a Lot. Well, these are just documentaries, but they won't go any further than that. They're just going to stop right there. And the reason why is that they don't want to exploit it. So
Well, on that same point, I mentioned this a few years ago, that they've made it illegal to find a cure for cancer 75 years ago, and that's in law. It carries the death penalty today if you come up with a cure of cancer. This is how corrupt the whole system is. And one thing I can say with complete and utter confidence, and nobody will argue with me, is that God gave us everything we would ever need in nature to heal us. We just got to work out what it is. The trouble is, in the process of working it out, we get addicted to cannabis and cocaine, thinking they're natural herbs. Well, they are, but you got to learn how to use them, and not abuse them. God gave us everything, and there are things that will make you as high as a kite, and there are certain things that need to be handled with care. And thank God for people like Dr. Sandra Rose and Paula Woodley, who are now investigating this side. When we talk about frequency, I knew very early on that one of the biggest cures for anything in life is frequency. The two things on a medbed, the only two things in a medbed, is frequency and stem cell technology. That's it. Now, we need people like Dr. Sandra Rose and Paula to work out what proportions of each we need, so that we don't take too many years off some of the people that are already out there. Because if they go from 70 back to 21, it could be a nightmare. So we might start making all the same mistakes. My grandfather used to say, if you could start your life over again, you'd make twice as many mistakes as you did the first time. He used to tell me that as a kid. So we need to treat this with care. Just very quickly, I'm going to hand over quickly to Chaz. And the reason I'll do that is Chaz has been with me from day one. 7 years we've been friends. He's been out there. We started this journey together. Warren was there trying to convince Chaz that what I was saying was right. I said, listen to this, man. And then Chaz just suddenly woke up and said, let's fight together. Let's go at this together. And thank God for Warren, but thank God for Chaz, because what Chaz has got is the ability to get this message out to more people. And that's what it is. God has given us a voice, and we need that voice to be heard far and wide. Because this channel and Chaz's channel gives us this opportunity, face to face, like we had in Miami, which was an amazing time. We were truly blessed there to be able to not just have an impact on Paula's case, which had a huge impact. There were certain people there that I now know that were there to spy on us, to take the information back. And I'm grateful for that. I don't mind those sort of spies. And, if you look at some of the good spies in life, we're very grateful to Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and they were spying in the back doors of stuff that have given us the insight to where we are today. And there are many others. James O'Brien, who's been doing a lot of hard work at the moment, who Chaz introduced me to. But Chaz, welcome. It's good to see you, brother.
Hey, good to see everybody, and also new people as well that I'm hopefully going to find more details out. I'm enjoying this. I'm very grateful as a whole for PPN to be associated with you, Charlie. And Warren and myself, just to give a 30-second backdrop. So Warren, one of my best friends, and he was a truther and still is a truther. And I didn't know about any of this. And he told me something was going to happen in Nashville. Nashville got hit with a direct energy weapon. I woke up instantly and went to action and with the skills that God's given me. And obviously God's led me here. And I'm here to help any way with any type of servitude that needs to be able to get this information out, because I'm all about helping humanity, and all of us here at PPN are. So I don't want to take anything away from the show, because I'm really enjoying what I'm hearing. I'm excited about where we're going right now from a personal standpoint. I see progression happening, maybe not as fast as everyone wants it to be, but it's exciting to see how things are starting to form up, regardless of whatever anybody's perspective is on individuals or anything. At the end, it will be the same. It does not matter. And you just got to just go through it, be prepared for it, rock and roll with it. And I promise you, at the end of the day, it's all going to work out.
It is, and I should point out to my audience as well that myself and Sandra Rose had a wonderful time together on Scott McKay's when he had Cinderella before he got his latest one. But we sat there and we talked, and for me, it's fascinating because we're on the same frequency, we know the same things, and when you go through certain frequency changes, you want to check yourself against somebody else on the same frequency to make sure that you're on the right frequency. For those old enough to remember CB radio, if you're tuned into the wrong frequency, all you hear is bullshit or noise. That's very much like the world we're living in right now. Whereas if you tune into the right frequency, then you hear everything absolutely perfectly from the right people. And Dr. Sandra Rose and myself just sat there and talked about things, and we looked at each other and just smiled as if to say, yep, yep, yep. We know exactly what's going on. God is showing us what's going on, and we're grateful to God to be able to share it with other people on the same frequency and offer a helping hand to anybody who wants to join us on that frequency. Sandra.
That's a great way to put it, and really enjoyed meeting you on Scott's bus. I just had his new bus here at our place here in Vegas. I mean, he was just here with 107 and the event, and it was great to have some time with them. And he stayed with us as well. And now he's off in Pennsylvania. But it was great to meet you on the original Cinderella. Now he's got his new model. She's gorgeous. And a good time. But yeah, we really, and some of what you pointed out, we really have everything we need for this transition, and that we waited a long time for this time on the planet. And people are waking up, in spite of everything. The Great Awakening will not be stopped. And here we are. It's great to be here with you, just like it was great to spend time with you on Scott's bus.
Yeah. And also, I think what Paula's had to go through with her own mother, you can't tell people stuff. You have to show them. And Paula, bless her, has had to suffer that. But the positive thing is that your mother is now at peace with God. Her work was complete, whereas yours and mine is not, because we're still here. He's obviously making us work a bit harder. But she'll be looking down on you saying, go, girl, you're doing a good job. But we had to see what we had to see. We had to see the abuse of the medical profession against your mother. But God had his arm around your mother.
Thank you.
Without question.
Well, Charlie, another thing is that this is like a playbook that just doesn't involve a broken medical system. It involves a collaboration of law enforcement, attorneys, and judges, and that have taken also advantage of the system, because they couldn't have pulled this off without all of them. My mother wasn't a resident of Hawaii, and I had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fees into a system where she was put into a guardianship by a judge who knew my mother wasn't a resident. That's illegal. That's totally illegal. And I'm fighting with 2 attorneys in Hawaii and 2 attorneys in the mainland. This is what they do. They completely drain you financially, and they try to break you down. Okay. Now, the judge knew that. So also the Medicaid, she was put in a facility in a nursing home when I was trying to get her home. And we had 3 releases from doctors. They intercepted them. And then I was like, how did she get into Medicaid? She's not a resident. So we're dealing with not just the medical, we're dealing with the legal system. We're dealing with judges who knew how to play this out. And there was a pattern there. And Dr. Sandra and I had talked about this same pattern after, I had been on, serving on the front lines. And after that had happened, we looked at that. And of course, Del Beatree, of course, had interviewed another nurse who had exploited a lot of this. And that would be another great show to get into because he's overseas right now. But that was like the master plan that we saw is like, this is a playbook that is put together and they don't want the people to know how it works. But when you have a doctor and you have a nurse, a federal nurse, you can't play around because we know the truth. Okay. And that's the bottom line is that they do to other people who don't have that experience. They're lay people. And they, like when I was in Miami, and thank you again for that platform, a large majority of the audience came back to me and were asking me questions who were elderly, who are scared. They're scared stiff, but what's going to happen to them? And it's not just that, it's the whole medical system. Are you aware that how many people can't even afford their insurance, their medical care, because it's a matter of whether or not they're going to be able to pay their rent or they're be able to pay their insurance. And the problem is that when you have unnecessary medical procedures being done and misdiagnosis, and then you try to get those claims paid, many of them are denied. Okay. There was a nurse whistleblower who, you can look it up. She had exploited that they actually shredded the claims. Okay. You can't make this up in order to not pay them. And they said that most people would not even question that unless they do an appeal. So the bottom line is that this is about healthcare has become a commodity. Okay. It's about profit over people. How can we put the greed for money in what we might want to refer to as this coup, which other countries refer to it as, okay? Because when I worked at the United Nations and I travel all over the world, that's what people say. They're afraid they're going to get caught in this entrapment, okay? And then what's going to happen is that how are they going to pay these bills if they do, and they're going to lose their whole life savings, okay? So this is something that is huge, that people, it's a broken system, but it's not just isolated to the medical profession. There is a playbook and a pattern of a master plan of how this is being all orchestrated.
There's two things I want to talk about, the two practical things, and this might surprise you. We're currently at the moment building some apartments down in Bulgaria, and I was down there last month checking on the builders, and I managed to step in a pothole, and I twisted my ankle, I sprained my knee, and I broke my hand. This was at 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I managed to get myself in the car to a local hospital in Varna, Bulgaria. And I went to the Varna Military Hospital. If you'd seen it, it was like a hospital out of the 1940s. When I walked in there, this man came up to me. I said, "Do you speak English?" He said, "A little bit." And I showed him what I'd done. He said, "Right, come with me, sit down." He took me into a surgery. He dressed my knee. He dressed my ankle. And he looked at my little finger was completely bent back here. And he said, "Oh, I need to x-ray that." And I literally got hold of it and pulled it straight. It clicked 3 times. And he said, "Oh, well, that saved me operating." That's how he said it. That saved me operating. And he said, "I'll strap it up for you." It swelled up like a balloon. I was in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. When it came to washing out the wound, he had a glass bottle with a glass cork on the top, like the old ones, and he washed it out with that, and then he put iodine out of another bottle the same way, just poured it on, not dabbed it on, poured it on, and then cleaned it all up with more water and what have you, then wrapped it all up in bandages and what have you, and told me on my way. I said, "Right, where do I pay?" He said, "Pay what?" No. It's a military hospital. Don't pay anything. And I walked out of there after an hour, not paying a penny, having had everything done. Not registered, nothing at all. No registration, no insurance, no nothing. This was in Bulgaria. Now, another little story that happened to me yesterday. A doctor, a Chinese doctor, got hold of me and said, "Charlie, I think you've been misdiagnosed with myasthenia gravis. I don't think you've got it." She was in the medical schools in Canada. She's now living in Spain, in Alicante. And I said, well, I'm going to Barcelona with Justin. I'll stop by on the way back. Her name is Dr. Mylene Jarling. Called in to see her. So I just don't believe what they've told you about this myasthenia gravis. She asked me to do a load of blood tests. So when I went to my local doctor here to get the blood test, my doctor said, what are these for? These aren't for men, these are for women. I said, well, today I'm a woman. For me, I identify as a woman. I want them done. She said, you can have them done whatever you want. But she said, unusual. Why do you want these? I said, well, Chinese doctors said that they need to check these other things that they don't normally check in men. But she said, this will answer the question as to whether it's myasthenia gravis. Well, okay, let me know what happens. Anyway, got the results, sent them off to her, and she said, yeah, exactly what I thought. This isn't myasthenia gravis. What you've got is toxins in your blood. You've got heavy metals in your blood. We need to detox your body to get them out, but that's what's causing the problems. And I said, well, I fell over and hurt my knee, and both my knees are hurting badly at the moment. She said, yeah, that you've got toxins in your joints of your knees. So she said, what they've told you about having a knee replacement, don't be doing that, she said. Don't do that. She said, now I don't, you ladies may well have heard of this. She said, I'm going to do some wet cupping on you.
Say that again.
Wet cupping. She's going to do some wet cupping.
Cupping,
All
yeah.
right, Charlie.
And if I showed you my back,
easy, Charlie, easy, brother.
If I showed you my back, it's black and blue.
Yeah, cupping.
I had 9 different points on my back. I've been in the sea for half an hour a day, salt water. And on the backs of my knees, in there, she cupped. And when I said she cupped, she stabbed the surface with a scalpel and then cupped. She drew out half a cup of red jelly. She said, your blood is coagulated. That's why your knees hurt. And when she took it out, immediately, I could walk better. Wow. Now the doctor's telling me, oh, you need to have new knees. She was going, no, you don't. You just need to get rid of all that shit around your knees. I'll pull it out the back. Boy, it was painful. But I tell you what, suddenly, and I'm going to do a video with Dr. Mylene Jarling, because what she did for me that day was just like, no wonder the Americans don't want you to go to China. They know how to repair you naturally. And I'm like, wow, now I'm starting to get better. And I said to my wife, next time we go to Barcelona with Justin, I'm going to call in there again, do it again. Because it started to make me feel better. And it reminded me of when I was in the Plymouth Brethren. Don't go to any other churches. Never, ever go to any other churches. Because you might find out we're feeding you full of shit. They didn't say that last bit. I'm telling you that last bit. And that's what's happened in the world with medication, Medicaid, Medicare, all of these things. Don't go to natural people. They're woo-woo. That's how they share. They try and belittle people like Dr. Sandra and Paula as well. They're woo-woo. No, these are people that have learnt to listen to God. And if you listen to God, God will guide you where to find healing in nature, not in pharmaceuticals. And most of the healing is incredibly simple, ever so simple. God had to make it simple for people like me and Chaz. Otherwise, we wouldn't get it, would we, Chaz?
I'll tell you, it's really cool hearing a lot of the breakdowns and now finally getting to the meat and potatoes of the matter with the information you guys are sharing out. See, we all can agree censorship is real. They control the information completely, okay? And it's amazing that they let information out that is misinformation just to confuse the masses. Between me and my wife, we lost 70% of our family due to the COVID-19 bioweapon. Okay. And that was part of our waking up as well. It wasn't a week that went by that we wasn't putting somebody in the ground. And we see the lies and manipulation that we have all been going through. And then seeing individuals coming out like yourselves with the truth on certain things to be able to help others. Okay. Now, where are we at right now? What is to come with what is going on in the world, with the psyops, with whatever central casting you want to call it? Because now everything that Charlie and myself, and I could probably speak on many others, have said has happened. It's not because we're some guru or anything like that. And I say this very humbly, is because God is putting us all together for a reason, period. Now, and I'm not one to question God, but I will tell you this: frequency, your vibes, there is a huge abundance coming. I mean, we're in the fourth quarter of this thing. We have a huge, huge abundance coming to the audience that's watching. It's coming. It's coming. It's not it's not to get you all fired up and happy. Woo! I try to emulate you, Charlie, for a second. I thought that was kind of awesome earlier.
Yeah.
But seriously, the events that are taking place right now have been things that you've talked about, we've talked about for the last 5 to 7 years. And it seemed like for a couple of years, people didn't understand that it was like a broken record. Well, it's building up. See, they test every time they do it. And I've never seen some of the things that we're seeing now, but it's matching up to what we were told and also what programs to be looking for that would be initiated. And right now, with what we're seeing, it's quite amazing because we're that much closer to the draining of everything, getting rid of this evil. It's all about the children as well, by the way. I don't want to forget about the children. We all feel the same way. I promise you, I don't have to talk to you. You wouldn't be here otherwise. Okay? That's where it starts because our children, I don't know if anybody else has, children on here, but I do. I know Charlie does, okay? And that's our future. That's our future. And we can't take anything to chance. So we need to be putting the truth out there. We need to help people guide through what is happening because at the end, if you're unprepared, it's going to take you a little bit longer than if you were. Also, it will protect you. And right now, boys and girls, we're about protecting our families, our communities, and absolutely doing our best to help others. That's it in a nutshell. But I'm excited about this being event driven.
Oh, Trez, that is so. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's also important, not just our children, our women. Men need to be real men to protect our women from the abuse they've been through. And I'm going to name one particular woman that has absolutely driven me crazy, E. Jean Carroll. That woman needs to be killed publicly for accusing Donald Trump of rape. Now winding back and going, well, it wasn't actually sexual rape. It was he raped me verbally, but I've never met him. So that to me, there are many women who've been raped out there, and my heart goes out to every one of you. That woman was not raped. That woman is a mental case claiming that she's done something she hasn't done, that takes away from every single woman that has been raped. And that really makes me mad because when a woman's raped, it's the most disgusting thing ever. 80% of rapes are done by people that you know, not people you don't know, normally family members that take advantage of you. It's a horrific thing. It's a terrible thing. And for a woman, oh, by the way, to claim she was raped, she was only paid 10 million. That should tell you something.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, Charlie. I just want to interject, and I want your view on this. This is something that has caused a lot of confusion for a lot of folks. Todd Blanche came in, overruled the Supreme Court ruling of the unredacted Epstein files, a remainder, and a torture video. Now, why would that happen? To keep it wide open. They're saying to protect victims. However, the perpetrators are also the ones that get redacted as well. So, what's your thoughts on them doing that, and when it should be out to everybody? What's your thoughts?
People like you and I are ready for this. There's plenty of people who are not, and it has to be done at the right time. And they're teasing to try and wake people up. But I think it's been far harder than we'd expected. The one thing that I realized the other day that somebody pointed out to me, and this shocked the living daylights out of me, only 2% of the world's population have a soul. Let that sink in. Only 2% of the world have a soul. That means they're connected to their creator. 98% of people are not connected to their creator. They don't have a soul. So it's double hard work to get through to these people. Nothing resonates with them. For those people that do, with the things resonate, it's easy to talk to because they get it. But when you're dealing, and we're dealing with zombies, people say, "Do you believe in aliens?" I said, "Of course I do. Look, just go through an airport. It's full of them." I've never seen so many zombies in my entire life. I mean, there's nothing there. The lights are on. Nobody's home. They just walk around like they all follow each other in queues. But the truth is the 2% that are awake is still millions and millions of people who are awake. And as the Bible said, the gate is wide, the pathway is narrow. And for those people who have found the pathway, which we've all done here, and all of the insiders have, they've found the pathway which is narrow. It's not wide. The wide one leads to distraction, leads to failure. The narrow pathway leads to life. And this is all of our job, is to lead people to life. And I've learned from listening to God that God doesn't necessarily want us to tell people. He wants us to show people what it's like to live with God in your life, how it improves your quality of life. And all of the work that Paul is doing now and Sandra's doing now, everything has been done. We're now playing a part in the movie. We're playing key roles in the movie, showing people in the form of a movie what has happened already. It's already done. It is finished. Everything is done. But now we're playing it out to wake up and show the public what is going on, because most of them have missed it. A lot of people are trying to catch up. I've got friends who are they're sort of waking up now. They're going, "Tell me a bit more."
Right
and it's
on.
like, where do I start? But if you live your life as a person that God has handpicked for this moment, and realize how special each and every one of you are, God handpicked you for this time to play a part in this movie, to show people what it's like to be filled with the Holy Spirit, to show people what it's like to be filled with the Lord Jesus Christ, rather than being filled with social media and mainstream media and big pharma and big tech. And the other thing I would say is artificial intelligence is satanic. We all need divine intelligence. You can get intelligence from God within for free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't need to pay for AI. You can use AI to go through the Epstein files for a little bit of fun. But if you want divine information rather than artificial information, you'll be a lot safer in the long run. And ask God to show you where to look, what to do. And that's not just sit on your backside. Action, faith without works is fruitless. Ask God, and then God will guide you. But get off your backside to be guided. God will guide you the right way. He guided me to the bus with Sandra. We sat down for a few hours talking, and he guided me to Paula in Miami at Trump National, Trump Doral, which was amazing. He guided me to Jazz in Nashville, Tennessee. You have to get off your backside and do something. If you do something, then God will guide you. God will shut doors in front of you. God will use your life's experience, what Paul has been through, what Sandra's been through. God will use these experiences to help wake up others and help heal others. But the knowledge that you should have, Paula, that what your mother went through will help as part of the movie. God has given her a key role so that you can share how evil these people are. Light is exposing darkness. Your light exposes their darkness. Nowhere to hide when there's a light shining on them, and you're shining a light on them. And I thank God for your light and Sandra's light shining in the dark place, because God gave you that light. But some people, as it says in the Bible, want to hide it under a bushel. They want to hide their light. They don't want to shine it. They know what's going on, but they don't want to shine it. Well, when people see what shining your light does in life, then they'll want to get their light out.
I just wanted to add, thank you so much for all of that. It's just incredible. It's so true. But I just want to say that is it really true that the greed for money has taken over the value of a human life? That means nothing, and the vulnerable, which is of course the children and the elderly. Okay, we saw Sound of Freedom on the children, but the elderly are much more about commodity and a $3 trillion business than even the children, because that's what they don't want to be exposed is the guardianship. Okay, because that is the abuse of our elderly, and they've shut it down and attacked it and won't expose it. So we really need a call for action, because there is an agenda out there that is, it's a playbook, it's a psyop that is being put onto the American people to divide and conquer, and then saying that this is part of this political party when it's not. Like Medicaid and even whatever, it doesn't have anything to do with politics. This has to do with human life. This has to do with a suppression of the life of the natural law that we have to. This is something serious. We need a call for action. We cannot be afraid or have fear control us. We cannot be involved with the chaos as a distraction. What we need is a call for action now, and something that needs to happen without being reactive but proactive. So we can talk about all of these things that I found, but the bottom line is that it's about what are we going to do about it right now. Dr. Sandra and I had just talked about that, right, Doctor?
Right. I mean, it's a big wake-up call, and that's what we're going through planetarily, that the power that made the body heals the body, and it's time for everybody to plug back into that cosmic light socket. And that was the instruction I was given for creating this technology. I've been teaching holistic health, and I built my first scalar healing light chamber 1978, and miracles, but it's like I went back to God and said, wait a minute, we need to bring healing to the world. And so this technology has been the result. I said, okay, God, what can we do? What's the next piece for people? Because it's just literally like plugging the body back into the cosmic light socket, but giving the body the environment it needs, and rebalancing the brain and training the brain, connecting everything back to an innate intelligence, innate source. And so, and not one person at a time. So this was given as a result of me asking God for it in the 90s. So, but it's just a healthy, optimal, energetic environment that allows everybody to heal. We now have like over 600 centers in 60 some countries. And we just want to heal the world. So it's everything they talk about, the med beds, we find that this does, because the power that made the body heals the body. And the body knows how to heal itself when you give it a pristine, crystal clear, energetic environment. The body remembers how to heal. And Charlie, we've had many people with myasthenia gravis, and the body reboots, resets, and totally reverses it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen anything and everything heal, because the body wants to heal, because the activation of the stem cells, but also the DNA is our God code, as you know. That's why they try to hijack the DNA every which way.
Well, we all know that from just the fact if you cut yourself and you push it together, literally within a short period of time, it's healed. Within a few days, you can't even see it. And there's not a robot or a computer in the world that can do that. God has given us something that can heal itself. We just need to know how to manage it and use the right people, use the right information. One of the biggest mindsets to change in America is the answer is in the bottom of a bottle, because Big Pharma has made fortunes, and I mean ridiculous amounts of money. It's a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry, the medication. And then when you look back in history to see where it all came from a certain group of people the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, etc. It all came from there. And why, if you go back 150 years ago, Nikola Tesla had worked out that frequency heals and frequency does this, that, and the other. And the interesting thing is that right now, all the creations that are coming out now, like Sandra Rose is saying here, God has shown her that because it was hidden from us. It was always there. God gave it to us 2,000 years ago. It was always there. We just didn't know it. And God is showing us where to find it. But you have to be receptive to listen to God's voice as to where everything is and how to use it, how to use it correctly. That comes by connection to source. Because otherwise we lose sight of everything. Nikola Tesla, I mean, there was a joke the other day that made me laugh. For those people who live in England, back in the 1960s, there was an electric milk float that used to deliver the milk to your house. It was quiet. They come around at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, deliver bottles of milk. And somebody joked the other day that that was the blueprint for the Tesla. You think about that. 1960s, they had electric cars. Suddenly, they've just come back again. But then you look at the guy in Africa who's made his Tesla run for life because he's got a generator in the boot that runs off the back wheel. And don't tell me that Tesla hadn't thought about that one. And now we're learning that in China, they can run an electric car for 1,600 miles on one charge. But they've given up on that because they've now found that the cars run on water. Oh dear. 200 years ago, they ran on water anyway. So we're going back to 200 years ago that cars were running on hydrogen. And we think I'm the latest inventor. I make a car run on water. No, that happened 200 years ago and was banned from happening because certain families couldn't make any money out of water. And you can put salt water, fresh water, tap water, wastewater, any kind of water in there still works.
And you know what, Charlie? Everything you're saying, and Dr. Sandra, we all know, and Tesla, of course, is behind a lot of Dr. Sandra's spirit here. Now, but the bottom line is that, like my parents would always say, because I have a grandfather too that's from Norway, and FIFA, I watch soccer, and the Norwegians actually had said that they're bringing their own food because they said that the food in America is not, fit for human consumption. Now, let me just say something too, that everything that has been natural has been tampered with, let's say, okay? And my mother would always say this in order to create disease to make money. And that was just something that I was taught as a child. So I look at the most natural source always of anything, because when you think about it, the digestion is the orchestration to our whole health. So if some foods have been tampered with to create diseases, it's a monopoly of making money. Okay. And I just wanted to mention some of the folks that I know that have also gone into the EES system. That too has been tampered with because it's EES is authenticated. Okay. But there's knockoffs out there with whether it be food industry or medicine or whatever, that I would just caution people that what it is that you eat and what they put into it. Like even when you're talking heavy metals, Charlie, a lot of people have heavy metals and doctors don't do that test routinely. You have to ask for it. But actually heavy metals are even in the coatings of vitamins, for example, and in water. So what RFK is talking about is actually known around the world as far as the red dyes, the blue dyes. My mother wouldn't touch that for years. And it's like you talk about it, people look at you like you have a third eye, but it's the truth. Why would I want to put something in my body that is poison, and creates diseases? So that's not, again, a political thing that should be divided, because we need to look at the truth for safety, for the public, and overall, there needs to be, again, accountability and oversight on this, because it's basically for all of our own health and our well-being.
Everything's about to change with everything talking about with AI. Have you guys heard about what has been created? Non-human cells that have been created in a lab that can reproduce, can multiply, and it can be just like skin on your body. Okay. the future of what we're about to see is going to shake up everything. And I'm assuming again that this is going to be part of the reset because it's got to be done. We've got to get rid of this evil. We've got to get more truth out in regards to our health and people being properly educated, not being sold on everything, but legitimate things that can help folks. Because at the end of the day, we're battling with over 2,000 years of being lied to about our body, what our body is capable of doing, what powers God has given each and every one of us while they dim different cells and pineal glands and vagus nerves all in your body. Okay, because that's by
He heals
design to
himself.
keep you as a freaking slave, to keep you having big pharma as a pimp. Okay, that's what it is. And once we come together, and I'm not talking about just big pharma, just like you talked about earlier, Charlie. It's about unity. You guys have talked about it. Unity is the key in all of this. And so many people get hung up on such petty BS that they don't see what is about to happen and how big of a blessing they're about to receive. It's quite amazing. This right here is what I've been waiting for the last 7 years of my freaking life doing this. And I've never done anything like this in my freaking life. So give me some grace, but it is what it is. And it's happening. And it's the fourth quarter. And I'm ready to get down. How about you?
Well said.
I couldn't
Yeah, I've
agree
been
more.
waiting for this a long time. We've been teaching more than
Amen.
45 years waiting for this time. It's a magnificent time on the planet. What a ride, right? What a ride.
We're
And you
also
know what's so Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one thing. Dr. Sandra, you know what's so funny about all of this is that 40 years ago when I was in school, I went to a parochial school. The nuns had said it's all about mind, body, and soul. And it's like, and I've seen this, to be honest with you, unfold as to getting what happened to that. That's where I took an oath, okay, and to protect my patients, okay. And then when you expose something, I never thought in a million years you would be in trouble for exposing the truth. So I've always followed with God, and my mother would always say the truth will always prevail, Paula. But I just can't believe how what I was taught I have watched through all these decades unfold into something that has been a monopoly now, that we're more concerned about money over the life of a human being.
That's what's
The
happened.
violation.
Yeah, we've been captured. I mean, the world, not just America. And by the way, America, happy 4th, Americans. Woo! By the way, a lot of places are having droughts right now because of the heat wave. That's something else I want to let you guys know about. You might already know about it. Some places have already received EBS warnings about the power grid because of the heat wave in the heat dome that is over the continental United States of America right now. And some places are Texas. Midwest is really getting pounded, probably because of the positioning or whatever. But bottom line is this: when have you ever heard that before? You haven't. And it's more or less they're getting everybody introduced and conditioned to the fact, like, yeah, that's just the EBS, don't worry about it. And all of a sudden the power cuts off. And what happens? You're sitting there and you're just like, here we go. We all got to be prepared. You got to be prepared with events around you. You got to be prepared with your health. You got to be prepared all the way around to be able to protect your family and your local community. You have to. Most people just think it's all hopium while they're watching this. Hey, folks. Hello, McFly. I'm telling you right now, the time right now is critical. You can sit back and do nothing and see like things happening that you may not be ready for, or you can already be mentally prepared and know what to expect. So when everybody in your neighborhood is running around like the hair on fire, they're going to be looking for their local conspiracy theorists. I mark my words.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I want to thank Paula and Sandra and Chaz for today. And congratulations on 250 years being London's bitch. I mean, independent.
I knew it. I knew it.
But now you've got real freedom thanks to Donald Trump, who's actually given America its real independence, and thank God for that. The world is changing. We're privileged to be awake during this great awakening. Things are happening, as Chaz just said. There's a huge shift coming. And one last piece of advice: when you come into abundance, and you will, sit for 90 days and don't spend a penny. Everybody makes mistakes in the first 90 days. That's when they make the biggest mistakes. Sit back. You know everything's done. You've waited 7 years. Some people have waited 30 years. Sit back when it hits and just relax, and don't, otherwise you'll make mistakes. I've learned, Charlie's talking to you because Charlie learned the hard way. I spent it on sex, drugs, and rock and roll and wasted the rest. So this is a man who knows what he's talking about. Yes, it was fun, but I blew a fortune. Now's the time to look after it, because the more you look after it, the more God will give you to look after. And if you use it wisely, you'll become one of God's warriors out there in trying to help the rest of the world. We've been doing it for the past few years, but just mark my words, when you come into abundance, just sit back and relax and go, thank you, God, and ask God for guidance on everything you do. Once again, massive thank you, Chaz, Paula, Sandra. Wonderful to see you. God bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
These are the facts, not put out by mainstream media. If you want to know the truth, we put out the truth every single day, Monday to Friday. So if you want to know the truth, come to charlieward.com and see real news daily. And join the Insiders Club, which is live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Global tensions are rising, markets are unstable, and currencies keep losing value. While governments print more money, smart investors are moving into physical gold and silver, assets that have protected wealth for centuries. That's why more people are turning to Charlie's Gold to secure their future before the next financial shakeup hits. Don't leave your wealth exposed. Own something real. Own gold and silver. Visit charlies.gold today.